Hey guys, I'm trying to get on my phone and see who RSVP'd so I can tag those people. I hope these show up. I don't know if it'll tag or not. I don't think it is. Darn it. Oh, there she is. Hey, Michelle. Did that tag you on the one above? Did it alert you that I was on? I'm trying to see. I'm trying to tag the people that said that they were coming. But I don't know if it's working. Okay, cool. Yeah, I really need to get an assistant. Because all of this Facebook stuff, and I'm pretty techie. I'm pretty good with computers, but there's got to be an easier way to do all this and for people to find me when I do these. Who else am I missing? Sarah. Okay. Yeah, I got a 2-minute late start. I didn't realize it was 8 o'clock already. And I'm not sure, I think a lot of people are expecting me to go live on my personal page. And I haven't had enough time to get everyone over to my new group page yet, to have it on there, which is what I really wanted to do. Because this is going to be public, and I just don't like that everybody can see this. You know me, I keep my circle small, and I feel like it brings in the riffraff when it's public, because anybody in Facebook land can see it, including the people that, don't know the etiquette. And you'll probably see some tonight. They'll get on and demand a free reading. You know what I mean. Yeah. I just don't. It's like the last thing I really want to see in the comments when I'm doing these. Alrighty. So I don't know if that tagged these people or not. I'm going to go quickly on my main page. Medium roast. I can't even spell my own name. Okay, thank you for sticking around with me while I did that. Yeah, this is why I need like a moderator or an assistant. And Dave offered to do it, but he can only do it when I am on my group page. So as soon as I get everybody switched over to my group page, he can help me moderate from there. And then it's not public anymore either. It's closed to just us. So, oh, hey. Hi, Gail. How are ya? Good to see you. I hope Cody's doing well. Hope you got all the jiggers off of him. She lost her dog the other day for hours. I was so worried for her. He's such a cutie pie, too. Oh, you just texted me? Okay. I'll check it out when I'm done here. Okay, so it's 10 after. I know people are going to pop in halfway through. He's home. Yay! That makes me happy. He's so cute. He looks like a collie, but I know that he's not. What breed is he? I know, I forget the name of that breed. Sheltie, that's it. So cute. All right, so for you guys that are here right now, this probably is going to be very remedial for you guys. I am getting a lot of newer people on my page who are asking for things that, like, they're just awakening. So they're asking information about chakras, and they're asking for information, you know, about the other side, and I want to cater to everyone. So miniature collies, yeah, they're adorable. I want to cater to everyone, so I think what I'm going to start doing, and I think I've said this before and I never followed through, and I'm going to write a note right now. When I start offering these videos such as this, I'm going to say, and I'm getting this from Pamela Arlen, who I follow and adore. She does the same thing, and it just makes it so much easier. She has tier 1 events and videos and tier 2 events and videos. So the tier 1 will be geared towards those who are just starting out on this spiritual path, or perhaps, you know, they just want more information. It's going to be more like 101 type stuff. And then the tier 2 videos and classes will be for those who've been on the path for a while and are a little more advanced. And then, of course, I'll have some, I'm sure, that it won't really matter what you are. So I'm just going to go by the questions that I have here. I know probably more than half of the people that are going to watch this video are going to watch the replay. So I'm still going to try to maintain professionalism here a little bit and to keep on track. I have a ton of notes that I kept. If you have any questions in the meantime while I'm doing this, please just ask me and I would be happy to answer them. Just remember there is a bit of a lag on here, so I might not see it for like a good minute until after you post it. Okay, so welcome to Medium Roast. I kind of want to do this once a month, and I'm not really sure yet what that looks like. For now, this is an intro to spirit and to the other side. And, you know, I'm hoping down the line that eventually I might do like more gallery type readings, free readings online for everyone. That's hard because I can only get so many people in an hour. But even if I could just deliver real simple messages to bring some comfort to some people, that would be awesome for me. So we'll see how this transpires. Hey, Christy, thanks for joining in. So if you guys see anyone, again, in the chat asking for free readings, let me know, like, point it out to me. As long as they're not being rude, I can just ignore the request for now, as long as they're being civil. If they're not being civil, shout it out in big capital letters so I see it. Okay. So the first question I got, and this was more of a video I did not too long ago, but I feel like I need to discuss this a little bit before I go into what the other side is like and what I've experienced so far in readings. The question was, who are our spirit guides? And the answer is there are many. Now, the main one is called your guardian angel. This has been the person that has been with you since birth. It doesn't mean that you don't have other spirit guides that haven't been with you since birth, but they might have come and gone. They might be ancestors. The guardian angel is the main guide. They know you in and out. They know your soul plan and soul contract, which is what we will get into later. Some people have called forth their gate guardian. Mostly mediums and people who work with spirit, shamans, and other healers have a gate guardian, which is someone who protects the door between our realm and the spirit realm while they're doing their spirit work. They kind of are the bulldogs of making sure that no negative energy comes through that doorway while they're doing any type of spirit work. There are the ancestors. Many ancestors could be spirit guides. There are angels that you may have called forth either knowingly or unknowingly when you needed help with something. Sometimes your higher self will call upon these angels without you technically realizing it. I know many times I've called upon angels for different things. So these angels can come and go based on how far you have come with the task at hand that you called them forth for. For example, last week I was calling on angels that were specific in healing animals and pets. I called for Saint Francis. I also called for Archangel Ariel, who deals with animals and pets. Angel Sarah. And there are so many good books right now that are out there that can help you learn the different angels and what they are specific to. There are so many that we're not aware of because we all assume that we know the main 7 or 8 archangels. But there are so many beyond that. Which also brings me to Ascended Masters. Ascended Masters can also be your spirit guides, and many of us in the spiritual realms are connected to 1 or 2 or sometimes maybe more. There are people that work with all of them if they're working with the public or doing channeling. Jesus is considered an Ascended Master. Trying to think of Buddha is an Ascended Master. And I think I brought this out before. This deck, if you want to learn the Ascended Masters, you want to get Keepers of the Light Oracle cards by Kyle Gray. This is my favorite deck. I love this deck. I use this more for personal guidance than I do with readings for other people. But this deck, like Horus is an Ascended Master. White Eagle is an ascended master. Odin, the Viking god, is an ascended master. Let me see here. Saint Germain, Kali, Lord Shiva, Kuan Yin, Serapis Bey, all of these. This is a huge deck full of ascended masters. So, and that's something I kind of wanted to point out. Sometimes people who follow religion to a T have a real problem with what we do because they're saying that we're putting other gods before God. I guess maybe some people do. I know I don't. I think God creator is definitely like above all. There's no one above him. He created everything. So I put nothing above him. I do put, now, and again, we have to remember, before all these different religions came together, we were all existing in different places on the earth. We had no idea of other people's religions. How many religions do we know of that have a son being born on December 25th to a virgin mother? It's all the same story. That's what people aren't seeing. It's the same story. It's just told in different ways to accommodate different cultures and different lifestyles. And that's what boggles my mind about religion in general, is that we are so busy fighting each other for differences that have been created through man-made books, that we're losing sight of our similarities by what was actually said and followed. So I won't go into a sermon, but yes, they can also, ascended masters can be guides as well. Also, if you are a starseed is someone who has existed on other planets or star systems, galaxies, before coming to Earth. There are many on Earth right now, many starseeds. There are 200 million starseeds on Earth right now. So it's not rare. They are here to raise the vibration of the planet and to push forward this awakening that we're all going through. So if you are a starseed, most likely you have a galactic family that is also part of your spirit team. So starseeds is a whole other topic and discussion. If you are interested in that, I do have a starseed group that I host through Facebook, and I host locally. Just get in contact with me and I can point you in the right direction. So the second question I got was, how do you know when spirit is around you? Whether it be people who have crossed over or your own spirit guides. And that was a great question. We all have to understand that we are nothing but energy. And this comes right back down to, have you ever done a reading for someone that was not a star seed? Yes, I have. And I call them earth seeds. Now, I've been finding, and I guess this is kind of biased because a lot of the charts that I've been doing are for spiritually oriented people who know what star seeds are, or they might already know that they're one, kind of subconsciously. I have done a few charts for those people, for either friends or family members, and they are hardly ever star seeds. They are they're old souls, but they haven't come from any other system. So yes, I have come across that. And I'm sure if I would do more charts of people outside of the spiritual realm, I would probably find more earth seeds than what I what I am right now dealing in the spiritual community, because the spiritual community is loaded with star seeds. Yep. So, okay. So how do you know when spirit's around? First of all, I think it's important to let you know that when somebody that we know very well, that we were connected to energetically, has crossed over to the other side, they leave an energetic imprint in our aura. Their energy is literally left in our aura. And that is why it is easy for some people to communicate with those that have crossed over, because they can reach right out into their own layers of their energy around them and call them forth through that energy imprint that they left behind. And when I say energy imprint, like I think I started to say this before, we are energetic beings. We are made out of energy. Even our heart is based out of an energetic pulse. Our brain is energetic connections. Everything about us is energy. Now, if you go back to high school, I think it was high school chemistry or biology. I don't even remember. It's so long ago, where we started discussing matter and how matter cannot be changed. It cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed. Keeping that in mind, that is also how bodies are. We are basically an avatar. Hey, Teresa. We're an avatar. We are souls that are in a body for this lifetime. A body that we will not keep. We will have many bodies through many lifetimes. So when we cross over, we do not die. It is not lights out and then that's it. What would be the point of that anyway? That makes no sense. So when we quote unquote die, I don't even like using that word because we never die. We're immortal. Our souls are immortal. When we cross over, our spirit and our soul crosses over. So how can they contact us? How can they connect with us? Well, since they don't have a body, it's hard for them to communicate with us. So most times they're going to try to use symbols or signs of some sort. And this is where it gets tricky, because you have to be paying attention for them. Because if you're out in La La Land, and I've lived half of my life like that, so I'm not putting anyone down when I say this. If you're out in La La Land and you're not even looking or paying attention, of course you're going to miss them. You have to train your mind and your brain to start thinking in a different manner and to start looking for, I don't want to say looking for everything, because you will know when it's a sign. It is so blatant and in your face that you cannot deny it. So that's the first way. Angels are starting to connect with a lot of people through numbers. If you ever have any questions with numbers that you're seeing constantly over and over and over again, you want to go to Google and type in angel number and whatever number it is you're seeing, and that will give you the message. Whenever you see an animal that's out of place, or maybe an animal that's showing up consistently day after day after day in your life, look that up as a spirit animal messenger or an animal totem. Let's say, for example, you asked your guides for help, and you were sitting outside on your porch, and as soon as that happened, a crow landed on your front deck on the rail. That might be a sign. And for me, I would consider that a sign. It could be coincidence, but I would look it up. You just never know. But usually the signs come consistently. And for me, after I've seen it for the third time, I know it's spirit. And I'm sorry, I'm going off on my notes here because I didn't want to get off track. So it's important then that you start to develop your own intuition. How's the best way to do this? Meditation by far is the best way to connect to the other side, to nature, to your own soul. We live in such a busy rush world that we forget to stop and pay attention, not only to other people, but to our own selves. So you need to develop that intuition and how things around you are affecting you in subtle ways. And these are what we call the clairs in the psychic medium world. So each psychic, and I should mention also, everyone is born with the ability to be psychic or a medium. We turned it off unknowingly, most likely through societal programming, through the education system. Our parents have done it to us unknowingly because we passed it down generation after generation after generation of, oh, little Susie is seeing things. She might be going crazy. Let's tell her to not talk to anyone about that. We need hush hush. Don't pay attention to that. Susie, no, that's not right. You're not seeing things. That's how we shut people down all these years. We have been ignoring the fact that perhaps our kids are gifted. And of course, if we shut them off in childhood, this is why we're shut off now as adults. Many people have the gift now as adults who've had it all along. For me, I think I had it all along. I shut it off. Then I had to turn it back on. I had to learn to turn it back on. It still isn't easy, but you can teach yourself how to do it. And it gets easier the more you practice it. So each medium and psychic works differently. They see things differently. They hear things differently. Same thing for anybody. How you see and hear things could be completely different from someone else. I have friends that can physically see spirit in front of them. For me, I see blips of images. I hear things, but I don't physically hear someone talking to me. It's hard to explain, but you just hear like this inner voice that's speaking to you. So if you're clairvoyant, it means that you are using your intuition to see images that are coming to you. So let's say you want to sit down and connect with someone that has crossed over to the other side. I would tell you to sit in meditation for a few minutes and state your intention to God, to Jesus, to whomever you worship, to the angels, and state, I would like to connect with so-and-so. And then start to pay attention. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? Do you smell anything? Do you taste something? What are the noises going on around you? Did an animal pop up somewhere? How are your other animals acting? It all plays a big part in how you can start to receive messages. So like I said, clairvoyant is clear seeing. Clairaudient is clear hearing. Clairsentient is clear feeling. Claircognizant is clear knowing. So, and there are more, but those are the main ones that most people have. Some people have, I forget the actual name for it, but they can actually smell things. And that can happen from time to time too, where you can smell smoke from nowhere. Perhaps it was a grandpa that used to smoke, or say you had a significant other that crossed over and you can smell their perfume or their cologne. It's little signs like that you have to pay attention to. And then finally, another way to connect with them is through your dreams. Dream time is huge. So I'm actually not doing readings tonight. I'm just doing a discussion on life after death. So in dream time, you are actually connecting to the other side in a way. There are many times that we astral travel, which is our soul leaves our body and goes into the astral realm, and we interact in other dimensions, other parallel lives, and this is a great way to connect with them. So when you have dreams about loved ones who have crossed over, more than likely that is very much a real dream. We don't give our dreams enough credit because it's our subconscious not only talking to us and telling us what we need to heal in our lives, but it's also telling us, it's giving us a chance to connect with those people once again. And so I would say, if you have problems remembering your dreams, keep a journal that's off to the side of your bed. As soon as you get up in the morning, I mean, even before your feet hit the ground, start writing your dreams in your journal. It's going to be that habit that is going to allow you to remember your dreams from here forward. Eventually, you won't even need the journal. You'll just remember them anyway. But this also allows you to keep track of any signs or symbols that are coming through that might not have made sense at the beginning, but as you go down and you go back and you read through it, you can start to piece it all together and be like, oh, okay, now I get it. So I think that was it. I feel like I'm missing stuff in between because I'm rushing. I probably shouldn't rush. But I had a couple questions come in at the last minute, so I want to make sure I get to all of them. Teresa says she gets whiff of her Gramps' pipe once in a while. It was his custom blend. So not just one anyone would smoke. Yep. Perfect example. Sometimes I smell like chew spit, and I know it's my pap. Because I don't connect that smell with anybody else. And oddly enough, I usually smell that when I'm having like family issues. It's like he's backing me up and helping me through the family issues. I had, a great time to pay attention to signs, to be honest with you, is right after somebody passes. There's that window of time where they still have 1 foot in our dimension and realm and 1 foot in their dimension and realm. It's a very thin realm, and I'll get into that later. Very thin. I can think of a couple times, like right after my dog passed a couple years ago, I heard his nails clicking on the kitchen floor the next day. Or the day after my dad passed, a couple weird things happened right after. So it's like right after. I don't know what that is. Someone had once called it the swing between worlds, and I loved that. I don't know. She actually gave me a book on it, and I need to read it. I will confess I have not read it yet. I try not to read too much because I don't want books to sway my thinking from what I've already found in readings. But I liked what she was saying. And I like that swing between worlds where you're still in one world but yet in another. Michelle says, my mom was a lover of perfumes, and I even smelled hers today. Aww. She loves spicy perfumes. Yep. Yes, you need to pay attention to your surroundings. He knows I will look around everywhere to see where it's coming from. Yep. Yep. I think so many people also don't believe when they're getting signs, they feel like, oh, that's not a sign, that's coincidence. You could explain your whole life away to coincidence if you want to. You really could, but, you know, what was the deck with the Ascended Masters again? I think it's having faith, and the more faith that you have and the more that you believe in the other side, the more signs you get. I will swear to that statement to this day. And the more I grow and the closer I get to figuring things out, I get more signs. So I don't see anything as coincidence. So you want Keepers of the Light by Kyle Gray. Great set of cards. And there is a book in here that explains each of the Ascended Masters and what they're known for, how you can call upon them, what they're good to call upon for, that kind of thing. Love this deck. Love it. Okay. So I think I covered that. I know I'm going to rewatch this later and be like, oh man, I should have said this. I should have said that. Yeah, if you aren't willing to believe that this stuff is real, then there's really no sense in trying. But I think the other thing that throws people off too is fear. As long as you always state your intention before working with spirit and surround yourself in white light, I say divine white golden light with my angels. I tell them, please do not allow any harm or negative energy to come to me during this time. If you state that intention, spiritual law says it needs to be followed. So there's really nothing to fear. And if you are starting out and you still feel a little bit of fear, instead of closing your eyes for meditation, what you can do is light a candle and stare into the flame. If that makes you feel a little bit less vulnerable, that's a good way to get started. But that could be a whole other class, teaching you how to connect. Okay, the other question I got was, are children more apt to see spirit? Yes. I won't go too much into this because it doesn't really discuss the other side, but it's a good question. Children are wide open until about the age of 7. I don't know what it is about that age or that cutoff point. Well, yes, I do. Once children start going to school and start going through the system, they start, trying to think of a better word, but they start to become programmed. So they start to follow the rules, stay within the lines, do it this way, no, don't do it that way. And I stress saying this because there are many parents that are going through this right now, where they have children who are awake and they don't know what to do with them. And the school sure as heck doesn't know what to do with them. And it's human instinct, at least at this point in time, for us to want to shut them down and to ignore it. But it's not a bad thing. In fact, these children have been sent here during this time to help the rest of us open up our minds and our hearts and to help us awaken. Now, people my age and older are considered the indigo children. All the people that were born in the 70s and 80s were the indigos. I think maybe even part of the 60s, where we helped not only transmute negative generational karma in our family, but we also helped others awaken, whether we realized it or not. Many indigo children were kind of rebels, or they were loners. They stood out, yet they were wallflowers. And they were wallflowers because they had other abilities. They weren't interested in school. They realized at a very young age that all this stuff that we're being taught, really, we don't need it. Most of it we don't need. So many of them got bored. Some got in trouble because of boredom. So it was the indigos first, and then came the crystal children, and then the rainbow children. And the rainbow children are the kids that are being born now. And the more and more that these kids are reincarnating, they are bringing more and more gifts with them. Some kids are bringing memories of past lives. This is to awaken us to the fact that, yes, we do reincarnate. Some children are coming born with significant psychic skills. Some kids are very attached to crystals and healing. It's amazing. So if you have any kids that you feel might have some abilities, you should Google crystal and rainbow children. And if you have any more questions, reach out to me. I took a couple classes on how to work with kids with abilities, and I'd be more than willing to help. Now, here's another thing, and I don't want this to scare anyone. Because children are wide open, and because they have abilities that haven't been shut off yet, sometimes they are apt to draw in negative energy. Because when negative energy sees somebody that has abilities, it's like a moth to the flame. And this goes with even adults who have abilities. Many times mediums will say, they have to have boundaries with spirit, because they'll just keep coming at you until you create boundaries to keep them at bay. Same thing with kids. A lot of the times they're experiencing stuff at night, especially when they go to bed. Now, it is very, 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 very rare that it is anything demonic in nature or, truly negative. It is usually, I hate to say this, an old house owner that is territorial, or a wayward spirit that's lost, doesn't even know that it's crossed over, or just a grumpy spirit. So these things can be taken care of. You can protect your children from this. It's nothing to be feared. But yes, it can be taken care of. It can go away. You can teach your children how to take back their power. You need to let them know that they're in control. They are in control of their body, their mind, their spirit, their thoughts, everything. Now, there are ways to ease their mind. You can give them bad man spray, but there's so many things that can be done. Reach out to me if you're in that situation. So Teresa said, my son used to see dark shadows in the old house. He hated that house. He loves the new one. That's good. Yeah, I don't like the dark shadows. I don't know what they are personally. I don't think anyone really truly does. I think they are people from another dimension. That's what I've always thought. People will argue that. They have all different kinds of answers for that. I don't trust them, so I'm glad you're out of there. So that's good. That's good. Okay. So I love this question. So why is spirit so cryptic? Why won't they just give me the answer? That's a great question, and I've asked it myself many times. I get really frustrated because when I finally figure something out and I'm like, oh God, that was so simple. Why couldn't they just, make it easy? But if everything were easy, why are we here? If everything was easy, what would be the point? We're here to learn lessons. Earth is kind of, sort of, mostly a school where you learn lessons for your soul's growth. You have free will. You wanted to come here, believe it or not. I know, I keep telling myself that. I wanted to come here. I volunteered to come here. I had a reason to come here. So they are giving you messages in a way that allows you to process your emotions and your thoughts in a way that is more timely for you, that would be, it would put you through the process of thinking about it and learning about it before you actually came to the real destination of the truth. So that's why. I love that question though. Okay, someone said, I've been trying to connect with my loved one and I just can't. Why? Well, this could be a couple things. So, number one, you could be blocking yourself. This could be out of fear of not knowing what's coming your way when you ask for it. I know I was even doing that myself with my own father. I didn't fear my father. Of course I didn't. But I feared if he would actually show himself, oh, what would he look like? Would he just pop up out of nowhere? Would I cry? Would I get upset? Would I be happy? All those thoughts. I was blocking myself from allowing myself to see him because it was fear in another way, if that makes sense. And then there are people that are just afraid to connect with spirit. And there's really nothing to fear. As I said before, if you're working within the light and you make that intention before you do any work trying to connect with the other side, you'll be fine. It's all your mind playing a game with itself. So you could be blocked. It does take work on your part. If we could all connect with spirit just like that, we'd all be doing it right now. Now, eventually, years down the line, when we have evolved enough and we have opened up our hearts enough and our consciousness enough, we will all be able to communicate with higher beings in other dimensions because we have evolved to that point. Right now, we're in the third dimension, which is a low density dimension, and we have forgotten who we are. We're all divine beings. We're all energetic beings, spiritual beings. We're just here experiencing life as a human being. So we shut off that part of ourselves thinking that we can't do it. We also have society telling us we can't do it, and we also have society doing things to us to turn off these abilities. Vaccines, GMOs in our food, fluoride in our water. What else am I missing? Oh my gosh, like just things on TV that I used to love. Horror movies, loved them. It was my favorite genre. Now that I do this mediumship work, I don't watch them anymore because I realized that it was instilling fear in my mind that interacting with the other side was a scary thing. So I don't do that anymore. You would not believe how many things are done, even our mercury fillings. All this stuff has been designed and planned to keep us numb from our true and natural abilities. And that's why so many people are now converting to the natural lifestyle, because we're trying to rid our bodies of all these toxins that are keeping our lights dim. So, could be that. Oh, this is a good one too. you may be getting messages from Spirit, but you might not be getting messages from the person you think or want to get the message from. I had a reading not too long ago with a friend from high school, and she was dying to connect with this one person. And I will always tell whoever I'm reading, look, if I'm not getting anything for you, I will tell you. I'll never try to sit there and make up a reading or, just pull straws and try and, I never do that. So I'm like, I see this guy, he has this tattoo, he has, a piercing here, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, nope, I don't know that person. And I said, I'm telling you, it's for you. I see him plain as day. He's not going away. This is for you. Nope, not for me. So we had to end the reading because it wasn't, I was like, okay, well, that's all I'm getting. About a little over a month down the line, she called me and she said, you know what? That was my uncle. And I said, I told you it was for you. So she had a message coming to her, but she was so focused on it coming from someone else that she wasn't paying attention to what was coming to her in the moment. Always be open to anyone that has crossed over coming through to you. I understand when you are in grief, especially when you've just lost someone and you want them to come to you first. They might not always be the first to come to you. The person that has the message for you for your highest good is the person that's going to come out first. So keep that in mind too. Also, and this is the last point, it might be hard for them to communicate as well. And let me explain this, because like I said, we are in the third dimension. We are third density. We are extremely low density. And when I say density, I want to go back to what I was saying about science class, where matter is never created nor destroyed, it only transforms. Our bodies, everything about us is energetic. We are simply matter. So with us being low density, our energy has been slowed down so much that we have taken on form. Now, when you think of spirit, what do you think? You think of a soul that doesn't have a body. Some people want to call it a ghost, that's fine. But basically what spirit is, it's a soul. There is no need to have a body. That soul is vibrating at such a high rate that it takes on no form. And if you do that in science class, we used to put little pebbles on that little plate where it has form, and then you turn on the vibration and it starts to, jump around a little bit, turn a little higher, jumps around a little bit, turn it even higher, it disappears. You can't see it anymore because it's vibrating that much. So that is why spirit does not have form. With that being said, it is hard for them to come down to this low density because they're so used to being up here, not having a body. It's hard for them to come down. That could be a reason too, especially if they've just crossed over. They haven't mastered all that stuff yet. I mean, for them, it is a recalibration period where we've all been over there. We all know the rules over there, and we know our bodies and our spirit, how it is. But we have to take that, oh yes, I remember this now. We have to take that period. So I hope that made sense. That's why you can't always connect to your guides. 9 times out of 10, it is that you are blocking yourself. Hate to say it, but it's usually it. You're blocking yourself or you're not paying attention. But The other thing too is people think that heaven or wherever their loved ones cross over to is this big, castle in the sky, and that could be further from the truth. Dimensions and densities and all that stuff, they're literally whispers away. The way that I see dimensions is one dimension is maybe like 2 inches higher than the one we're on now, and the next dimension is another 2 inches higher. The next dimension is another 2 inches higher. And I think this is why angels appear so tall when you see them, because they're up at this really high dimension up here, which makes them look like really, really tall. And someone had asked me, do my loved ones, can they see what I'm doing? Can they see my son graduating? Can they see that I've had a baby? Yes, they see all of that. I'm not sure how this works, but I do know this. We're at the third dimension. We have already crossed over the first dimension and second dimension. We can see into those dimensions. We can't see ahead of us. So my thinking is anyone that is ahead of us can also see from wherever they are downward, if that makes sense. Now, the only problem is we are at that cutting off point where in first and second dimension and third dimension, we have bodies. And fourth and fifth, we do as well. So it's easy for us to see things in the first, second, and third dimension because everybody there has bodies. When our loved ones cross over, they cross into higher dimensions where they do not have bodies. And this is the tricky part, because their world is literally super transposed on top of ours. We just can't see them. Mind blown, right? So, picture yourself walking down the street right now. Walking down your street, just going to the end of the block. Now, picture another dimension or universe on, let's say, that transparency paper. Put that right on top of your world with someone else who has crossed over in your life, walking down the same street. The dimensions and densities are literally this far away from each other. So yes, they can see what you're doing and what you've been up to. And the more you focus on clearing all the toxins out of your body, connecting with your inner guide and your intuition, clearing your mind, opening your heart, there's so much you can do to begin to connect to the other side. And the more that society in general connects and opens, especially their consciousness, you're going to see more and more people being able to see the other side. It's going to start happening soon. I guarantee it. And that's just it too. When one person starts to work on themselves, they immediately trigger the people that are with them to do the same work. So it's like this growing, budding flower. One person opens, the next person opens, and it goes down the line from there. Okay, do animals stay with us? Yes, they do. Now, they will stay in your energy field. Their energy will stay with you. You will see them from time to time. They are not always with you. And here's a cool thing I learned from my dad after he passed over. For those people who have had a lot of pets throughout their lives, when you cross over and you create your own reality, you may not have all your pets with you. And I asked my dad this because he had 2 of the dogs that I remember throughout my life with him during the reading. And I said, well, where are the other dogs? Why don't you have all the dogs? And he said, well, over here, there are many of us who have had many pets throughout our lives. And then there are those who haven't had any pets and always wanted one. So he allows some children and other people to take care of the pets while he's there. So it's kind of like this really cool, I don't want to say he's loaning out his dogs, but they share the pets, and they all take care of them. So that's really cool. I thought that was awesome. Some of our pets, yes, they can be guides that were sent to us from the other side. There can be people that reincarnate as pets. I have yet, and I don't think it's possible to have pets reincarnate as people. I don't think that's possible, but who knows? Pets also bring lessons to us. I found out that Dozer here is teaching me how to understand that happiness is not the same for everyone, no matter what I think it looks like in my mind. So he's teaching me that. Everybody has a lesson and a reason to be here. We're not here by happenstance. Which takes me to soul contracts. Soul contracts are created before you come here, before each lifetime. You will sit down with your main soul creator. You will sit down with most likely God, I'm assuming, or his energy, her energy. You will sit down with your soul group, which is another discussion, and you will decide where you're going to go, how long you're going to go, what lessons you want to discuss or learn while you're there, and any other important information that you see fit for your soul contract. Everything is done with your free will in mind. Nothing happens against your free will. You can stay over on the other side as long as you want. Some people will stay there to heal. Some will stay and wait for others so that they can reincarnate together yet again. It's all based on what you want. So I think many people feel when I discuss this that it takes out the element of fate and destiny and what's the word the one woman used that I loved? Serendipity. Love that word. That stuff still exists. I'm not saying that everything in life is planned for you. There's definitely some coincidences that come up because your soul needs to make decisions. You need to learn through these decisions and through these lessons. And it's through these decisions and these interactions with strangers that will help you learn and bring you closer to your soul's growth. But with that being said, yes, there is a plan while you're here. It's your plan. You made the plan. You decided all of it. So, and even people that say, well, I grew up poor, I grew up being abused, it's all a lesson. I'm not saying that you chose that. You do choose your parents, you choose the people that you reincarnate with. It's all for your soul's growth. It really is. Okay. So on the other side, when someone first crosses over, first they will go through a soul review. They're going to go through their entire life and what happened and how it went. They'll discuss how you felt about it. Did you learn that lesson? Is it something you might want to reconsider trying to learn again in a future life? It's just reviewing everything you went through. And then from there, you get to decide, do you want to rest? Do you need healing after this lifetime? There are healing chambers and healing buildings where, from what I've seen, it looks like Reiki. It looks like the laying on of hands where light is coming out of the hands and healing those who have just crossed over. That's what it looks like to me anyway. Are you going to sit around and wait for others to cross over? And then you might do a whole new soul contract with them, because you do reincarnate in groups. Now, I'm not sure how that works if you want to change groups or expand your group. I don't know how that works. That's a good question that I've always wanted to know myself. I'm hoping I can ask some of these questions more in my upcoming hypnosis sessions, but we will see. So, oh, someone said, well, what's my real name? And how do I look? You have a soul name. So, okay, you have reincarnated hundreds, if not thousands of times. It may not have always been on Earth either. You don't rule that out, because we have star seeds here. But you have a soul name that you go by when you're on the other side. That was given to you in the very beginning. As far as how you look, everything on the other side goes by mere thought. So let's say you're back on the other side. You just crossed over. You had your beautiful homecoming. Everyone's welcoming you back on the other side. Am I going to look like me over there? Well, if I want to look like this over there, I can. If I want to look like my original self, I can look like that. If I want to look like I'm Asian over there, I can look like that. It's all by mere thought. Everything that is over there, we create with our thought. That is what we're trying to evolve to. That's why in today's spiritual community, we keep kind of hounding each other, saying, be careful of your thoughts. Thoughts become things. It's true. Eventually, we're going to evolve to the point where we can literally create our reality. We're saying it now. We're finally catching on to it. We're understanding that we are creator beings. We are made in God's eyes, who is a creator. We can manifest things into our lives if we believe that we can. So we need to be careful of those negative thoughts then, if this is possible. On the other side, they are creating their own reality. They're creating their own houses. They're creating their own where they live, what they look like, what clothes they have. It's all mere thought. That's it. So you could be Asian one day. That's just your avatar. That's your outer costume for the day. That's how you want to say it. I can't think of a better way to explain that. So you can look however you want to look, yet people still know it's you. I think that was it for that question. The other thing to remember about reincarnation is whatever lifetimes you've had in the past, realize that You bring all of the talents that you learned in that life, all of the lessons you've learned in that life, and unfortunately, some of the traumas that may not have been resolved in those lifetimes. You bring it with you into this lifetime. So let's say Susie was an oracle at Delphi in Greece years ago. She brought those qualities and those gifts with her into this lifetime. Now here's the kicker. Wherever we are now, we've taken on the veil of amnesia yet again. So we have forgotten our previous gifts and our previous lifetimes. It's up to us to try to remember them or to reignite them. Many of us, though, are using our gifts from previous lifetimes and we don't even realize it. I've danced my whole life. I danced up until I was 30, actually. And I had a hypnosis session, and he had said, "Did you realize that you were a dancer in a previous life?" Okay. I didn't know that, but it makes sense because at a very young age, I started dancing even before I had lessons. And I picked up my baton, no problem. So that's a cool thing in that, you know, you could be bringing all these extraordinary talents with you into this lifetime. And if you can trigger to remember them, to use them, that's awesome. And on the flip side, though, we need to start understanding that we might have some traumas that came with previous lifetimes that need to be healed. And sometimes these are the ones, for example, I have a fear of drowning. I can't explain it. I don't know where it comes from, but I guarantee it is probably related to a previous life because I have no other explanation for it, especially like in a car or like a surrounding. So there has to be a reason for stuff like that. You just have to kind of wonder. Okay. Someone had asked, what is hell like? To be 100% honest with you, I don't know. I refuse to go down that road. I have yet to connect with anyone that has any family or friends there, or I mean, I state my intentions before I do readings anyway, saying that I only want to work in the light and that I do not want to do any work in the darkness. So that is only my personal experience and needs and wants. When I work with spirit, I don't want to go there. So I can't really answer that question. I know that some people do go there, but I don't believe it is easy to get there. I think on the other side, there is a lot of, what's the word I want to use? Forgiveness in what happens here. And this is so important. When we get on the other side, ego is gone. It goes out the window. And I think this is why so many people are scared to have readings sometimes, because they're afraid that their loved ones might come through and might not give them the best message. So if they didn't leave on the best of terms or they didn't get along, they are scared to get a reading. I can tell you right now, you will never, ever get a negative message from spirit, from a medium or a psychic. And if you do, I would question it, because when spirits get on the other side, they lose all of that judgment. They lose all of the ego, because they know the truth. They know now that they played a role in whatever it was they were trying to teach you for your soul's growth, or vice versa. And I'm finding that the people that annoy us the most in life now are the ones that actually love us the most on the other side, because they are willing to take on that role as the villain or the heavy in your life in order to get you to grow. I see it time and time again. So don't ever be afraid to have a loved one come through and give you a bad message. That never happens. Never. There's usually, now sometimes spirits will come through and they will apologize for their behavior while they were here. They will acknowledge that maybe they were part of the problem and that was their lesson to learn while they were here. But there's never any negativity that comes through in a reading, because all that judgment, all that fear, all the anger, guilt, all those negative emotions, once you are over there, they're gone. They're gone. So please know that if you ever get a reading. And there was a reason I was going there with, because someone had asked about hell. I just totally lost track now. I'm surprised this is the first time, actually. Yes, but I never want to put down religion. I honor anybody that follows a specific religion or book or God or being. I'm not here to put anyone down, but there is a lot of judgment and fear that is being instilled in some of the books that are simply not true. Yes, God will be the one who judges, but it is only God who will judge. Nobody on the other side does any judging. God's the only judger over there. Other than that, you know, the fear and hell and damnation. Now, I'm not saying that we need to not take this into consideration. We need to be good people, but it's not as it's been portrayed. Let me say that. Is there a purgatory then? Yes, I believe so. From what I have seen, I would call it purgatory. And I'm going to bring in another question along with this. So the purgatory that I'm thinking of, that I saw in readings, is basically a place where people go where they don't speak, they don't interact with each other, they don't really even acknowledge each other. It kind of reminds me of like a zombie movie where they're all just randomly walking around, like bumping into things and not looking at each other, just shuffling. That's what it reminds me of. And I believe this is where people go when they're in that in-between stage, and they will stay there until something sparks in them, either in their mind or their heart, that they are ready to move on and they are ready to be forgiven. And that's so important, because even the darkest souls can be brought before God, and as long as they are willing to be forgiven, they are forgiven. But it has to be pure, has to be true. They have to want to be forgiven. With that being said, there are souls on this earth who are also put here for a reason, who are dark souls, like Hitler, Manson. I'm trying to think of a couple others. They have their purpose here. They help balance the lightness and the dark. They may have even come to this life knowing this was part of their soul contract. It may be tied to a previous life for them. Whatever it is, everything, the light and the dark, it all has a reason. It all has a purpose. So when we look at the dark, we almost need to forgive it and send it love and understand that it has a purpose. So it's hard to explain that. If you have any questions, just type them. So the other question I wanted to bring into this was, somebody said, how do you see suicides? Do they go to hell? And my answer is no, they don't go to hell. They, well, I've seen two different versions of this. And again, use your discernment. Every medium's different. Another medium could have had different experiences through their readings. I'm only giving you what I got through my readings. It is my understanding that someone who commits suicide out of spite, meaning, oh, I'll show him, you know, let's see how he can live without me being around, or, you know, in some situations where it would be like, I can't even think right now, like what the situation is I'm thinking of, like a spite. If it's out of spite or anger or fear, then they go directly back into a reincarnated life that is exactly like the one they just left. If they committed suicide out of, let's say, a chemical imbalance, depression, or some type of like a disability, no, they do not go to hell. They go right back over to spirit, where they go for healing and further counseling before they decide when they want to reincarnate back into a new life. So if it's like an imbalance or some sort of thing like that, they go right through healing. Same thing with addictions. If they, and this is where things can get hairy, because some people will call ODs, you know, accidents. Some people will call them suicides. Whatever you call them, addictions are forgiven on the other side. So if someone has died from an OD, they will go to the other side and they will get the healing that they need, and then when they want to reincarnate and come back through. Now know that they're going to bring some of that addiction personality with them into their next life. It's not a sentence for them or a punishment. It's just the energy that we have created within our own souls that we bring with us during each lifetime. So that person, I'm hoping, would not have to go through that again, but they might have to understand that they have an addictive personality in their next life and be careful of it. Suicides out of spite, yes, they're the only ones that I know of that reincarnate directly right back into another life without no stop go. There's no stopping with spirit or God or in between. They reincarnate right back into it. And I mean, honestly, if you think about that, isn't that kind of hell? You keep reincarnating back into the same life over and over again until you learn your lesson. And if you keep taking your life over and over again, you keep going in that circle. So it's not technically hell, but that would be hell for me. Now, remember, that's only out of spite. Okay. And I'm almost done. I have 4 more questions. Can spirit be in more than one place? Yes, I believe so. And I think it's because we have multiple versions of us. We live in parallel dimensions. We live in other universes. We have not only one higher self, we have multiple versions of ourselves. We have multiple higher selves. I believe this shows up a lot in our dream time. Many times we have dreams that we can say, oh yes, I know that place, I've been there before, or you know exactly where you are and where you're going. Those are parallel lives that show up occasionally in your dreams. So I believe when, you know, we call upon, let's say, a loved one to come meet with us in our dream time, I believe that they can be there with us, interacting with us in our dreams, or even during our meditation, and still be somewhere else. That's only my opinion, though, on that one. Why is our memory erased? Well, again, I think it is because Earth is very much the school of the universe. This is where we come when we want to learn lessons for our soul's growth. So I don't think all places are like Earth. I think there are many stars and star systems out there that have life on them, that they are fully aware of all their lives. And I think maybe when we cross over, we'll remember all our lives as well. And should we end up reincarnating on another planet where we don't need to have amnesia, we would take all of these memories and all these lifetimes with us. So I think right now we are going through amnesia because we are trying to experience what life is like not being connected to the Creator. And through that, we learn lessons that help us grow. And remember, we chose to come here. We always have free will, so we chose to be here. Okay, Teresa said, is that what deja vu is? Yes, sometimes it can be. I know, like, I've had a dream about this place. Nothing different or exciting. It's just a house that's, you know, on a wooded street, and I know I've dreamt of it. I see it in my mind all the time. And then the one time I kind of like crossed an area when we were traveling that looked almost exactly like it. And I was like, whoa. Yep, same thing with deja vu. I think there are, and this took me a very, very long time to wrap my head around this. I think we have so many multiple versions of ourselves that it's almost unfathomable. I'm seriously to the point where I think that every time we make a decision, we create another version of ourselves. And we're living out multiple lifetimes based on different decisions. For example, you know, when I was in college, I could have gone to dance school, but I decided to do the normal college route. I'm probably a dancer in another life because I chose a totally different path for myself. Now multiply that by how many decisions you've made in your life with, you know, career paths, family members, boyfriends, girlfriends, you name it. There's multiple lifetimes that are all occurring at the same time. It's like oh, I think I already answered that one. I'm not sure I understand the last question, and I I didn't write down who wrote it, I'm sorry. But it says, is there a difference in spirit when someone bad crosses over versus someone good? I think maybe I might have answered that already, whereas as long as that person is willing to ask for forgiveness and truly mean it, they will be forgiven. And also remember that I did say there is a purpose in both the light and the dark. So even though right now it is human nature to put down that which we do not understand, and we fear the dark people, they also have a reason for being here. So it may have been part of their soul contract. Let's say it's more personalized. Let's say that you have someone in your family that is just downright mean. Will they be forgiven on the other side? Will they go to heaven? Most likely yes, because when they get there and the veil is lifted from them and they remember who they are and what they were there to do, if it wasn't part of their soul purpose or contract to be the heavy of that lifetime and be kind of the jerk of that lifetime in order for further growth, they will know immediately what they've done and usually will ask for forgiveness because they've forgotten who they were. So I think that answered that. Does anyone else have any questions before I get off? I've been yammering now for an hour and a half, and I think that's a lot. I'll wait for like a minute because I know there's a lag. I just appreciate you guys sticking around. I know it's a work night. Okay. Well, then I will let you guys. Aw, thanks, Teresa. Thanks for supporting me. You're awesome. I need to get with you actually for some acty stuff. Okay, then I will let it be. Thank you all for stopping by and for all those who are watching the replay. If you have any questions, let me know. Like I said, use your discernment. All mediums are different. We all work differently. We all hear things differently. So take it for what it's worth. All right. Have a good night, guys. Bye.